So, big debut, like in the bag, no Apex show for you. Apparently the greatest moment of your life was...
Definitely.
Yeah? How's it all
Without a
been
doubt.
since?
Yeah, just I've just been kind of appreciating, doing my best to appreciate what I've just like gone and achieved, you know?
Yeah.
It's very I watched Israel Adesanya. He said it's very important to, is it smell the roses? That's the kind of
Yeah, yeah,
saying
yeah.
when you're doing well. So I've just made sure I've appreciated going out there and winning my UFC debut and taking in the occasion for what it was. I didn't want to get caught up in anything else. I wanted to appreciate where I am right now, and I feel like I've done that, and now I get to go and do it again.
I
So
I obviously haven't made the walk in the UFC. And it's so funny when you were saying this. I'm like, oh, this sounds familiar. And I tell you what, I actually give this advice to people that are getting married, right? Because
yeah,
you walk in the room. There's all these people that have come to see you. They're loving to be there. You're in your best. You've prepared the best. And it just goes in a flash, and then you don't really respect or remember the moment in its fullest. So you have to kind of pull back and take a broader view. And I'm glad that you've found something to trigger that, so that you've been able to really enjoy this.
yeah. I just didn't want it to be. I didn't want to get caught up in anything and fixate on the things that don't matter. If you know, if I'll elaborate on that now, like the hype online, um, I don't know, just I didn't want to get caught up in my own ego. I'm lucky I didn't have like I genuinely mean this. I didn't have an undefeated run up to get
Right.
into the UFC
Yeah.
because I was exposed to the ugly side of this sport b- before I got to the before I got to the Premier League.
Right.
So then I kind of learned when 22, 23 years old what matters and what doesn't
Yeah.
before I got there. And then when I got there, I was like, I feel like I'm a mature man now, and I've fully just appreciated just what I've gone and done and where I am right now.
And rightfully so. And I'm also pleased that you've had those experiences and recognised them, mate. Because a lot of people want a shortcut life, don't they? Like I get a lot of people speak to me. I want to become a commentator. I want to work for the UFC, but they kind of don't. They're not interested in a bit before. But you'd make a very good point. The first time I ever came on a broadcast anywhere near the UFC, I got death threats and got told how little I knew about the sport. But
Oh wow,
and it absolutely
yeah,
shook me to my core. But you have to go through these things so that when you do have that big audience, that big moment, that you don't just fall apart, because not everyone's
yeah,
gonna praise you. They're always gonna find fault in your performance. So
yeah,
it's good you've been through it and you've got the thicker skin and a more seasoned
yeah,
approach.
yeah, 100%. And I feel like that day's coming for a lot of the people who haven't gone through it yet, and it they'll be surprised, but they'll be very surprised what it's like to have everybody on your side, if you will,
Yeah.
and then next thing you know, nobody cares. So not that I'm ungrateful now of people supporting me. I want to be I want to choose my words carefully here,
Sure.
but I just know that if I suddenly started doing terrible, a good 80-90% of the support I get would probably disappear, and I'm totally all right with that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm
I
fine
do.
with that. I get it.
Yeah.
It's the game. I do it because I love it, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't think I could become one of the best at it. So I'm just doing this for me. And if you want to support me, happy days. If I've seen both sides of the coin. I know what this game's like, so I'm just going to enjoy it for myself.
Yeah. A lot of wisdom. I
Yeah.
like it. Um,
Yeah, I'm an old head. I'm an old head. I've been through it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
indeed. And what sort of leads me on to the other part of this conversation, and that was the Dana White Contender Series experience. And I'm going to peel back the curtain now, and I'm obviously very close to a lot of people in the UFC on the production side. And I
Yeah.
know the guy that conducted the interview with you when you were really pouring out your heart and letting everyone know about your journey. He
That was a
reached out
bit.
to
That was
me.
a. Oh, did he?
He reached
Sorry,
out
mate.
to me before your interview and asked me some thoughts and maybe some things that he might be able to engage with you with. But after, I'm not actually sure that he's ever come back to me after and just said that he was blown away by a conversation or moved, or I can't remember the exact words, but he definitely felt compelled to reach out to me and tell me about the exchanges that you'd had, and you'd had a profound impact on him. And
That's amazing. Wow,
yeah,
I didn't realize that.
yeah,
Wow.
well, obviously, I mean, you've lived through this, but on the other
Mm.
side of things, because I'm not looking to you've told that story, but on the other side of things, I don't think people always realize the value in the Contender Series approach, because it's so hard. It is one of the most difficult ways to go to get your contract. But my counter to that is, you have these moments and opportunities with a production team, and all of a sudden these guys at UFC HQ are talking about you, when perhaps if you'd have gone on and defended a Cage Warriors title 5 times, you might not be getting the same audience.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I never understood that. I really when I speak to people, like I speak to you when I speak to, I believe are we allowed to say his name? We can
Yeah,
say
you
his
can.
name.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mike. It was Michael, wasn't it?
It
We're
was.
talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah. Yeah. When I spoke to him, I just told him how it is. I was up there. They just flown me out there. I've been waiting for this chance this whole time, and they asked me how I felt about it, and I just told him. You know what I mean? And then when it kind of when the conversation like unfolded, it's like I realized where I was, who I was talking to, and it all kind of hit me, and I was like, it was like an out of body like a power I felt. It was
Right.
like it was like a I don't know. It was a special moment that we had, and it was only the people in the room who really kind of felt it. But it was an
Mm.
energy that I totally disregarded the rules and regulations of the interview that they told me before, and I just told him how it was. And afterwards, I was thinking, I'm gonna have to go over this again and pick, and say it in like an interview manner. And he was like, "No, that's brilliant, thank you." And I didn't think too much of it. But I had, yeah, it was a good chat, and it was a good moment to kind of vocalize exactly how I was feeling at the time, being given the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that going through like you say, the Contender Series, you find out just exactly who you are, 100%. Because I was fighting a guy who was like, I was a massive underdog in that fight, and I kind of knew I was as well. And it was almost just like, because I was hunting the UFC down for so long, it was almost just like, all right, then you want to be in the UFC, get past him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I knew what was at stake, and I knew what I had ahead of me. But I just knew I'd do it. I
Yeah.
just knew I'd do it no matter what. And it was a cool, really, really special run up to that fight, definitely.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've ever realised when you're watching like Embedded, or if you don't know now, like in the war room, there's a little tag
Yeah,
against the names, and everyone's got like Contender Series against it,
yeah,
a CS.
yeah.
You guys get, I mean, it's not special treatment, but there's more content around you guys that have been through that process. So
I
there's a
think
little
there
note
is. Yeah,
against it. So it's
yeah,
like the Ultimate Fighter in a way. You're kind of,
yeah.
you're already embedded, you're already ingrained a little bit more.
And what I think is so good, and what I think is amazing about it is you are it's do or die. It's everything or nothing. It's blackjack.
Yes.
It's literally 50-50. This is either going to go incredibly well,
Yeah.
or you're going right back, because they've seen you fight. It's not like, oh yeah, if you have an off night, it's like, all right, then we got go and have 5 more good ones,
Yeah.
and then come back. So the pressure, you kind of, it's unlike anything I've ever experienced, honestly.
Yeah.
And the fact I got through that is Khabib said it after Islam just defended against Poirier.
Right.
He said like when you go deep and go through high pressure fights, high pressure situations, when you go deep like that, you evolve massively. And that's what I feel happened to me. I feel like I evolved into a world-class fighter overnight just by going through that whole experience, you know?
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
it
very
just
cool.
tightened everything up. Anything that was loose, it tightened it up, and I had to do it
Yeah.
in the spur of the moment, you know? It was huge.
Can I just follow up on the point that you said, like you'd never felt pressure like it before, but then how do you? Because you guys are different. There's no doubt, like what you do and how you guys manage to put it
Do
together
you
on
think?
fight night. Oh, of course you are. Of course you are. Like not
I don't
everyone.
like to say that though. I don't like to think like that. I
Yeah,
was
no.
actually thinking. I was actually thinking earlier. I was like, it's weird out where I put my mind now. It's weird.
Yeah, no. I know people that are incredible in the gym. I've heard many stories as well. But then you make them walk out in front of a crowd in their underpants and go into a fist fight, and they are a quarter of the person. Some people can't even do it. Some people are vomiting.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't for me. I never. I did a couple of amateur. I didn't enjoy it. I got two
no,
finishes. I come out, and my coach said, "How do you feel?" I'm like, "I'm glad it's over." Like I almost
yeah,
felt compelled to do it for other reasons apart from enjoyment. So it's not for everyone. So
I see.
that sort of begs the question when you're in such a pressurized environment and you know there's so much on the line. You've been chasing the UFC. How can you, I guess, compartmentalize stuff and go and do what needs to be done and not just eke out a win because that might not be good enough. You can win and
Yeah,
not get
that
the
was a whole.
contract. All
That
of
was a whole
this.
thing. That was a whole battle in my head. That as well. That was just a whole battle in my head. It was honestly. Um, I think I honestly, and not to sound. How do I sound? Not that I'd sound arrogant in saying this, but you know, if for the whole, it's kind of poetic in a way. The whole run up and my life really. The fact that that's how I got in and that was the chance. I feel like if anyone was going to do that, I do. I definitely do better in a situation where it's like, right, you are either going to sink or you're going to swim, and
Right.
for that moment and for what that was, that fight, it was like everything in my mind kind of culminated as this like, it was like the climax of a film, you know, where the fight at the end, it was like Rocky. It
Yeah.
was literally like Rocky. And I was just in the change room thinking, just empty the clip on it. Yes, you're here now. They've flown you over the world. They've flown you across the world. You've wrapped. You're watching that fight. You know you two fights on. And I just kind of had a word with myself and said, empty the tank, empty the clip. Do not stop until you're either going to be taken out of there in a box. That's the condition you need to be. If you're ever going to stop, he's literally going to lay you out. And until then, it's 15 minutes of absolute fight to the death. And I know I had that in me, and I knew I had to do it. And it was in that fight, it was such a tough fight, but I was like, nah, not today, not today. And the fact he didn't finish me in that second round, right? I got off the stool. I remember my lungs come back to me. I was fit as anything, and I stood up like Pereira stood up, facing Adesanya with my hands up, and I told him, "I'm ready to die, boy. I'm ready to die. I'm ready to die." Because I saw him hanging off the cage, tired. So I thought, right, I'm going to tell these judges now. I'm going to tell Dana now. I'm all right, even though I wasn't. I'm gonna tell him I'm all right. I'm ready to die. It was just grit, and you know, I see that as the bare minimum of a fighter. That's what I genuinely see, the bare minimum of a fighter. Every fighter should have that in him, because you know there's going to be times where you got to dig that deep, you know. And yeah, I'm kind of, you know, I'm glad I did it. I satisfied myself. I was relieved that I kind of like answered that question in my head. You know, how bad do you want it? How deep are you willing to go? Are you really cut out for this? You know, what if it all goes wrong? What if the game plan falls to bits? What if you get rocked? What if you get dropped? Can you still do it? And everything literally happened at once, and I realized in that time when the pressure's on, that when the shit hits the fan, that's the saying. And Dana White's there watching me. It's like my audition when it's on. What kind of man am I? and I found out what kind of man I am. So now, going forward, I'm like not arrogant with it. I just know I've got that in the locker. So it's made me a little less worried going forward with these fights, because every worst case scenario happened at once, and I was talking shit to him. So
love it. You got that dog.
You know what I mean?
I've got
the dog in me. I've got the dog in me. So yeah, it's good to know that,
Yeah.
Not many people get to find that out. A lot of people, another ref could have stopped it. We wouldn't even be talking right now.
Right. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Flip of the coin in like moments.
It's a flip of the coin. So it's our job to just keep it together and man up. I don't want to say that because it's women who fight as well. But
I know what you're saying.
It's our job to just
strap up,
mount up.
Yeah, bite
let's
down.
Go.
Love it.
Bite down, let's go.
So you did a eloquent and at times goosebump raising description there of your Contender Series experience. I love that. And that sort of cool. I want to then take you now to Anaheim, because I'm guessing after having sort of been through the process with a teammate of mine, Contender Series, and then their UFC debut, how different were you in the locker room, or albeit maybe in a part of the lead up where you had maybe you were just framing the debut different to what you were with Contender Series, because the pressure is different. But it's still there, but then it's not like you're wearing the gloves now. You're getting a decent paycheck, etc., etc. It was
honestly, it was the UFC jitters.
Right.
There's no other. Oh, I'm like, oh yeah, I've done all that. I've been through it. I've gone through the war, but I genuinely realized where I was and what I was about to do. It was like, oh no, I'm actually here. This is actually it.
What was there a moment? I've heard. Was there a particular moment where you were at that not oh shit moment, but maybe that oh god, oh brilliant?
No. It wasn't a oh god, oh brilliant. It was oh shit. it was when I went in there, did the drug test, and I asked Roger, "Can I go and see the stadium?" Because that usually makes me feel better. Right. It made me feel a million times worse. And he says, "All right, we got to go, Oban." They say my name, Oban. Oban, we got to go back now. And I was like, I would have been better off not going and looking at it, but I had a little look, and I was like, I wasn't there long enough for it to feel normal, and then I was back in the change room, and I was the second fight on. Usually when you're later on in the card, like if you are feeling that, you've got an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours and it wears off, and then it just feels like a competition again, like I did when I was a kid. And when I was a kid, I used to get nervous fighting in like sports halls. Yeah. I'd be like, the week of the thing, I'd be like, oh God. It would be like, oh God, here we go. And then I get there, I see my opponent, he's looking all, I'd be like that. I'd be 13, 14 thinking, oh God, I'm terrified. But then you just put your gloves on, you put your mouth guard in, you listen to your coaches, and you just get on with it. And then after 20 seconds, it's just, it's the sport that you've always done.
Yeah.
And then, but when you get to the UFC, you forget all of that. It's like, oh my God, this is like, it's so glamorized and everything. And funnily enough, the only thing that I was telling myself, Tom Aspinall sent me a voice message in the fight week. And he just said, he said lots of things, but he said, you're not fighting the occasion, you're fighting your opponent. And I was just like, okay, let's just pretend this UFC letters aren't on my gloves. I've not got the shorts on. I'm not walking into 20,000 seats. I'm just fighting my opponent. And when the door locked and Bruce Buffer got out of the way, I couldn't even look at Bruce. I couldn't even look at him. But when he got out of the way and it was just me, him and the ref, it all at the same time was just like, oh, right, now this isn't so bad. Right. It was weird. It was like, it got better the close, and then when you're in there, it's just a sport. It's a spa. It's a spa.
Yeah.
It's weird. But if you can see, it genuinely, there's no different. You haven't got shin guards on. You're going to be hitting, you're going to be trying to hurt him. But yeah, it's just a spa. Just get on with it, And I'm all right when I'm in there. It's all the bits before in the last two fights. I'd never done it before. You know what I mean? It was everything. And because I care so much, that probably made it worse for myself, you know? I care so much, so I'm like, I've always wanted to get here, and now I'm there. It's like, fuck. And Dana White, when he signed me, I had a photo with him, I had a chat with him. He said, yeah, great fight, kid, laughing at the things I was saying. And he went, good luck, kid. Be careful what you wish for. And walked off. And then it was like, I was like, oh, right, this is what I wished for. Was he like, do you know what I mean? I'm like,
what do you mean by that? Yeah.
But I'm here now. I've done it. I've shut that cobweb off. I've done the hard bit now. Now it's just going in and fighting, and I'm bloody good at that. So don't worry about it. I'm not worried about it anymore.
Yeah. Now it's your second and your third contract and all of that stuff.
Let's make a career now.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. I haven't asked, like, how the boys at the gym?
Yeah, also, I mean, everyone's just kind of, training hard. Just same all the time. There's no egos. Shaky's barking at everyone. So's Carl. Everyone's good. Everyone's good. Training hard.
That's great. I will send Shaky my regards. I don't think people fully appreciate what that man has done for UK mixed martial arts, and you boys in particular. He's turned out exceptional fighters for many years now, and perhaps you can maybe let us in on some of the impacts he's had in some of those key moments for you as well. Has he been a man who's really helped guide you through it? 'Cause of course he's been through the process a bit with Jack, so he certainly knows what to say.
Yeah, 100%, and like he just kind of just settles my mind down, and just because it's weird, right? I am such a hype. I'm so critical of myself. I'm never satisfied in anything that I really do, and maybe that's why I've got so far in certain things. But he just kind of reminds me, like, come on now, how good you are at this. There's nothing to really worry about, and there isn't. And but in the Contender Series, he said, what did he say now? He said, 5 minutes now for the rest of your life or something. When I was on the stool, it was like a Rocky film. And of course, just like Carl, he's like a father figure to me. And without them, this will be way, way, way more difficult. It would be tough, They make everything seem like it's gonna be all right no matter what happens. It's quite comforting. And now I'm just like, next week I'll go up to Manchester, and as long as they're with me, and I'm not fazed about all the outside noise anymore now. I'll be in the change room with them, having a joke around, warming up, just having a laugh, banter, play fighting. Like, play fighting with each other, like pretending I'm having a fight with them, not the guy I'm fighting, and then go out, just do the business. If it gets really, 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 dirty and ugly out there, like we saw at the Contender Series, we all know that we can get through it and cope with it. So, really, what is there to worry about with me going and fighting next week? There's not much to worry about. Oh, what? He's going to beat me? Who really gives a fuck? I definitely don't. If he can beat me, I'll be like, just as surprised as anybody else. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And he's got to go through a whole world of pain to even get that far. So just go out and enjoy a fight and compete like I know I can.
Yeah.
Thanks to them too.
Yeah. I'm going to circle back to the next week more specifically. The notes that you got from Tom. How did that come about? Big Tom Aspinall sending you a voice message.
I just seen it on my phone. Tom Aspinall sent you a voice message.
Oh, really? So it wasn't like you guys were pals before, or?
Nah, I met him once at the Cage Warriors. He come and shook my hand. I was like, wow, that's Tom Aspinall. What a nice guy.
Yeah.
He was with his mates. Now, I had an insane amount of support for my debut of everybody. Honestly, people I didn't even, it was just an outpouring of support. It was it was really, it was a special week that was, yeah. And Tom
Yeah,
just dropped me a message, and I thought, wow, what a guy, thank you. And we had a little chat back and forth after that then,
yeah,
just to clarify, mindset things. It's just like, yeah, like he's just one of them figures in the locker room kind of thing,
yeah. I think that's wonderful to hear.
Oh yeah, and he's the champ,
Yeah,
and he was just looking out for one of his little UK brothers,
yeah.
Just
No, I think
made sure I'm on the right track. Hey, don't fucking get all nervous. That he was like UFC jitters for the week. Don't fucking get all nervous on me now. You're fighting him, not all the occasion. Don't worry about that. Just go out there and fight him. You'll be fine. I was like, yeah, he's spot on, isn't he? And I went and did it.
there you go.
Yeah, it's cool.
I don't think people often realise sometimes the sort of sense of responsibility that you have when you hold a certain role. And some people might not do much with it, but that really is sort of heartwarming to know that Aspinall is doing it. Because I know that people like Leon Edwards, particularly in the Midlands, and we're going to get onto it as well because young Shay was down with you.
Yes.
And Leon's a really good mentor for those guys around him as well. So it's I think it's really nice for fans to hear that.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. There's a reason they're champion. They're champions not just in the cage but outside too, and it crosses over. And there's no secrets to it. It's not just you can't be a good fighter. What good is it being a fighter if you're just a prick? You know what I mean? You're gonna get found out. You're gonna come across a bigger prick who's gonna bully you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why they're the top dogs, and I got nothing but good words to say about the both of them.
Yeah.
A first-hand experience. One of a couple of times I've been lucky enough to train with Leon, and obviously
nice.
through Tom and his messages of support for my debut.
So is there a little like match sharing thing going on between you guys and Team Renegade?
Luckily enough, yeah, there is. Yeah. I was actually we couldn't get it. We couldn't. Yeah, with Jai Herbert, obviously. Years just before the lockdown, I was going up there every week. But then the lockdown happened. I've had a good training relationship with the boys at Renegade now for a few years. Yeah, and I got nothing. I think everybody's the core Renegade group. I don't have anything really to say about the outsiders that might pop their head in, but the core Renegade group, legend, really nice. Good group of boys, very welcoming on the mat, good training, no bullshit. Yeah, top boys.
Yeah, it's really interesting now. I think the welterweight weight class for you guys in the UK. Obviously Leon at the very top. You got MVP. Let me say UK and Ireland. Of course, you got Ian Machado, Gary, you, Sam Patterson. There's guys coming up. There's actually really good presence at different periods of the kind of spectrum in the UFC, right? That the totem pole, if you will.
Oh yeah.
I think fans should recognise that. Of course, like welterweight is a very popular weight class just for the human size, etc. But it's good to know that we're well covered.
Oh yeah, we got. There's loads of us now. It's kind of like it's like there's loads of good boys, and there's good boys. Outside of the UFC, I think that from what I remember. Yeah, well, look at James Sheehan. I fought him, really good fighter.
Yeah.
He's the Cage Warriors champion now. Welterweights, we're in a good place. Yeah, it's like a shark tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's shine a little love on Shay Ingram, shall we? Because obviously we've just established that you've been over there and done some match sharing. I've seen that kid on the mat quite a few times now. For people that don't know, he's probably the best welterweight amateur in the country. Is that right?
Yeah, he's gone as low as featherweight and lightweight because obviously he's so young. He was like fighting at these little kiddie weights, but now he's like coming into his own like a man size. He should. I think he's fighting lightweight, but I don't think he'll be there long. I even told him that. He's a beast, and he come down and give me some sparring and help me out for my training camp. And it was an honor to have him come down. And me being humble with the mat space that he shares with all the top talent he's got. He was happy to come down and help me, which obviously is a compliment in itself. And Shay, he is. I've known Shay for years. It's a weird one with Shay. because I lived in England, and the nearest gym to England, the MMA gym that I would visit once or twice, he trained there as well.
Right.
And when he was like his little fat kid, we still joke about it now. And you know, he hasn't stopped training since. And yeah, we've kept the friendship going. It's cool. And now to see what he's doing now, and to feel how good he is now. And you know, he's always been good, but honestly, he's like you say, you've seen what you can do in the gym, and he's a beast. He's a beast.
Yeah, he's hanging with you know, all these top professionals, and he's just got to keep going, keep learning off of all you guys, and he'll go really far.
Hey, and we're learning off him as well. 100%.
I'm sure you are. Yeah. A rising tide lifts all ships. I keep saying that this week, but
that's the one.
Yeah,
that's definitely true.
Yeah, I think there's evidence even the way that the card looks this week, next weekend in Manchester. It's like that.
Yeah.
It's just populated with newer names, established names all the way through, and I think it's testament to the solid work that's going on in every corner of the UK and Ireland that we're able to put this kind of showcase on this side of the world.
Yes, and it's a massive privilege to be a part of it. I think I'm the last fight at the early prelims. I think that's my fight. You know what an honour that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. For what? Yeah. Awesome.
So, how has the sleep schedule affected you? Doesn't sound like it's going to be a super brutal one. It's not like a Leon Edwards 6 a.m. walk, but it's been fascinating to hear lots of different opinions on how to cope with the change in sleep.
Just stay up a little bit later and train a little bit later. For me, anyway. You know, I don't want to take the mick out of it because Leon and Tom and Paddy,
different.
You know, everyone on the main card really starting at 3 a.m. It's like, thank God that's not me.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that's rough for them. For me, it's not too bad because the first fight's at 11. I think I'm the fifth one on, and so I'm just before the actual prelim start, and they start at 1, so I'll be on like 12:30, won't I?
Yeah. So like that. Yeah,
that's not too bad. That's kind of like I fought the co-main event at Cage Warriors, and that was like 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
So I've done it before. I'm just I've just kind of swapped my training schedule around, where usually I train in the morning and I train in the afternoon just before the evening time. But now my first session is the evening, just before the evening, like 5 o'clock, and then I'll train again at like 10.
Okay.
That's, do you know what I mean? That's what I've been doing. Yeah. Works for me. And I did night shifts on the railway just not even a year ago. So it's kind of it's not too bad. Yeah,
you're not doing that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. What was that like to sort of hand in your notice on that?
I've still got a little job ticking over, but just not on nights. Okay. I'm lucky enough to get a little number like that. But that was, it still feels good now. Like if work dried up, I'd be all right.
Yeah.
It's kind of relieving because on the way up, I have been skint for literally my whole life up until like a year ago. So now it's just like a lot less stressful, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's weird how they say money doesn't buy happiness. No, but it does give you a little bit of breathing space, you know? So it's not like I'm not saying I'm rich, but you know, I'm not chasing rent down, selling things to pay my rent like I was, you know, a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
I'm all good now, you know. It's just one of them things.
I'm pleased to hear it, and so you should be. I think people. There's a lot of dialogue around fighter pay, and of course, I want everyone to get paid more. But before you get to the UFC, it is brutal. I've seen some of the paychecks, and
I was on a good one with Cage Warriors as well, and it was still like, you know, oof. I was lucky. I had good sponsors and that to tie me over, and I had a job which would I could work around my training hours, you know. So
right.
But like night shifts, you know, I had to go on the railway because that wasn't cutting it. I had to go on the railway to you know, have a solid income every week.
Yeah.
But the only way to do that was to work night shifts because then I could make all my training sessions. But then it was like do I want money? Do I want sleep? Well, I need the money. I'm gonna have to give up sleep. But the boys would let me, have a little kip in the van when I had to and that. And
Right.
luckily, it wasn't too bad. I quite enjoyed it. It was raw.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it.
I think there's something in the struggle. I
Yeah.
also would say, that sounds like you've got some stuff. It takes the pressure because there's different kinds of pressure, right? There's like adult pressure, growing up
Mm.
pressure, paying bills pressure. All
Yeah.
of these things figure into it. And if you can like put some of it away, and it sounds like you might be a little bit like me where anticipatory anxiety can creep in.
That is definitely it. I still have it now. Every time I check my bank, I'm like, oh, is it going to be minus something? But no, it's not. Thank fuck. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And when
Yeah,
we as a thinker, when you've got a lot of time on your hands, because that's what happens when you become a professional sports person, you do acquire more time. You train, but you can only train so many hours, which means a lot of
yeah,
time to really mull over things. Actually having a job or something to put your mind to
yeah.
stops you, especially when you're on the up, where you're almost thinking, can I do this? Where you're just sitting there
Ah,
struggling.
I don't
It's
know how
just
people do it where they don't work. I never want to not work because I come from training and fighting, competing as a kid, right? So I go to school and then I train in the evening. So all day in school, I'd be looking forward to the training because then that was fun.
yeah,
So every day I go to school, then it would be fun. I would hate it if my training become like my job, and then I was
right,
like, can't wait to get my training over with. So when I go
right.
to, if I when I do do a shift now, it's like, oh, I'm looking forward to going training. But if like I was just kind of sitting playing the Xbox, I'd be like, fuck, an hour till I gotta go, half hour till I gotta go. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
kind of,
yeah, yeah.
and I never want to break. This is kind of how I've prepared for this fight mentally. Is like I never want to break that feeling of I'm doing this because I enjoy it.
Yeah,
It's not a forced job that they're making me do.
yeah,
Like the whole fighting thing is always been like what's the saying? It's always been like extracurricular, It's always been
yeah,
extra as well as
yeah,
like school work and that.
yeah,
So I never want to be in the I can't imagine ever me just training. Like I still train
yeah,
full time,
yeah,
but rather than just like sitting and waiting for the next session, I just go and earn a bit more cash, do a bit of wheeling and dealing. I'll
yeah,
always be doing something, you know what I mean? And I just
yeah,
like it. I just
yeah,
like it. I like being busy.
yeah. I agree.
So
I like
I'm
that
used to
too.
it.
Shall we talk? Shall we talk a little Preston Parsons? What can you tell
Let's
us
talk
about
some
your man?
Preston Parsons. Yeah, yeah. Let's talk Turkey. He's what can I say about him? What can I say about him? I think I'm gonna. I think I am more than capable of whooping him. So, um, and I'm sure he thinks exactly the same as me. It's kind of fair play to him. Fair play. Much respect to him. But it's kind of it's not. I'm not really focusing on him in the sense of like, I'm focusing on me going out there and doing what I know I can do, and that's it. If my opponent changed tomorrow, I'd still be doing the same thing. So,
What will when we consider your fight style? What are you? What do you think this matchup will allow us to see from your overall game?
can I? Well, what if he watches? What if he watches?
Well, don't give
What
away
if?
any secrets, God
What
forbid.
if he
But I
watches?
think
What if he
I
watches this interview?
I think you're articulate enough to give us broad strokes.
Yeah. Okay. I think his strong suit is definitely the grappling, isn't it? And I think I'm really good at grappling too. So where this fight will be won for me, I think is going to be where I'm like grease lightning on the feet, and I think I'll be too sharp for him.
Right.
And I think I'll be too sharp for him, too clever, too smart. Not just a little bog standard jab cross sprawl MMA fighter. I've got a few tricks up my sleeve, and You know, if he draws them out of me on the night, then I think you're going to see a really exciting fight with me and Preston. And I'm
Nice.
looking to give a career best performance. I feel like my mind, my body, my skills, everything is all gearing up perfectly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's weird how it lands on a home UK show. You
Yeah.
know how everything's kind of coming together. I think if he was coming over here and fighting anybody else, he might have a chance. But I just don't really like his chances against me next week, and that's just me being honest about it. You know.
Fair enough. What is this fight you're saying about everything coming together? Like, it sort of makes me ask the question or consider the question. Like, what does this fight represent, given Contender Series, the debut, Cage Warriors backdrop, if you will? So, what does this represent?
I'm really going to show everyone just exactly who I am next week. I think.
Okay.
I think that's where I'm going to be capable of doing it. I've got used to everything now. I'm just hitting a stride. I'm confident, very, very confident. But I feel like my mind is bulletproof now, and yeah, I feel like I'm going in there and like defending some sort of belt. To be honest with you, you know what I mean. I'm not willing to give this up for absolutely anybody. And honestly, and you know, if you come close, you're gonna end up in the fight of your life, like that Brazilian found out in Vegas. I'm sure he thought he was going to dust me, and then he nearly took it. He nearly took the jewel. He got a little bit too close to the jewel, and he paid for it. And if Preston does the same, he'll pay for it as well. Just like any of them will pay for it on this run I'm going to go on. Trust me, I've cracked it. I'm here now. I'm not just a kid dreaming, not just a kid hoping I'm going to do well in the UFC. I have arrived now. I've put my foot down with it all. That's how I feel. You know what I mean?
Love that.
Yeah, that was a good little promo.
Got a little promo there, son.
Got a little promo. So yeah, that's the truth. I am transparent anytime I talk to anybody about this. I'm a 26-year-old man now with a sniper of an eye, going through exactly what I want to do, and I'm not having anything getting away with it. I refuse. I'm a stubborn man when it comes to this. I refuse to let anything get in the way of this. And if it just comes to pass that I'm just not good enough, and it's just not for me, and I can't go out and do it, then fair enough. But trust me, if you got any money, bet on me next Saturday. Trust me.
Love it. Oh, that's very good. I think you boys travel well as a Welsh tribe. You're going to have quite a bit of support in the house in Manchester.
Yeah, and I'm kind of gutted because of the timing, right? Because I can't, going out and seeing everybody after, but they're all going to have a good time. All the people coming up, no doubt. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. There's a lot of people coming.
Yeah,
and I think I'm gonna have just like a general good support off the crowd as well. But if I don't, I get booed, or you know what I mean? Yeah, but just imagine it. I'd love it. That would be like right. You know what I mean? Like the bad guy in wrestling.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
We go.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, sounds like you're almost inviting it on.
Well, maybe I'm just conscious to say that I'm not gonna go up there and I'm not going up there thinking I'm gonna walk into a crowd cheering for me.
Right.
I could, they could cheer for me, they could boo for me. I'm gonna go and do what I do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and do what I know I can do, and they're gonna be seeing a lot more of me. I know that, so
yeah,
they're gonna have to get used to it either way. But I'm sure that I got a good. I'm sure they're gonna have a good support up there.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I'm sure.
Who else are you gonna cheer for? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
You say the bad guy. I want to share in this. I met Chael for the first time at UFC X. I was on like the main stage, and we were sort of behind the curtain, if you will. And he actually asked me a question of something, some research-based question. But I've been a big fan. I truly believe he gives some of the best takes on the business side of mixed martial arts
Yeah.
out of anyone that's currently talking about the sport. But of course, that's present day. When we turn back the clock, he is arguably the greatest orator that we've seen in this sport. Connor does a great job. He's very good with his one-liners and his comebacks and go, like verbal sparring. But Chael has come out with some good ones, hasn't he?
Yeah, as you know, of course he has. He kind of what's you know, corrupted my mind and just become, you know what I mean? He just, you know, growing up watching that, he was just, you know, because I you know, big wrestling fan as a kid, and then I was always a fan of the UFC, but because I didn't really know what I was watching, you know, I preferred like The Rock, you know, or Triple H kicking off, and then Chael was just like, I was like, oh, we got to watch him, and then all of his, like, outside of the trash talk, all of his codes. That's what really resonated with me. That anyone, anywhere, anytime, the code.
Yeah.
Not just the, you know, the Nogueira brothers eating a carrot, the bus eating a carrot. You know what I mean? Not just that, but like the codes he had, and I paid really close attention to more or less everything he would say, and just a role model for all of us, in my opinion. Uncle Chael. And when I met him, that was so cool. And legend.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. I like the carrot one. Apart from that, or maybe that is it? What's your favourite line that he came out with?
I like the Vanderlei call out when he called out Vanderlei.
Right.
6 feet tall, 205 pounds, boy. Until I met you, I didn't know they could stack crap that high. I like send anyone you want, just don't send anyone you want back. I actually used that in my first ever in cage mic interview. I said, brilliant. Send anyone you want, just don't send anyone you want back. Yeah, I to be honest, I couldn't really pick.
I'd got so many.
It's that. Yeah, he's got so many.
I really like the one where he starts talking about the mean streets back home, and do you know, like, we only had a housekeeper like once a week. And, do you know, like, the way that he dressed that up? I was like, this is phenomenal.
Oh, it was so brilliant. Good. You know, they had to share, and the twins next door, they had to share a car. They had to share a car. What do you think? What did the other one do when the other one was at? Oh yeah, he's funny.
It's so good, man. In like an international sport where, you know, culturally people wouldn't know how to take him.
No.
Like with the Connor thing, I knew when he was going after Jose Aldo, because our personalities are so different over here. That Saturday night in the pub, what Connor was doing. But when you've never seen that before, you're going to get buried. You know?
It's
just
it's just like banter, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
that's how I've always took to it.
We're horrible bastards to one another in the UK and Ireland, you know?
Yeah, like, I'd love to, you know, it'd be cool, you know, one day if I end up in a position where I'm on like the press conference table and that. It's like, I've been waiting all my life for this. You know what I mean? And that is where, you know, all that stuff, I can't wait for that. It's cool. But
mate, it is all in your future. I am sure you are the master of your destiny and all that.
Yeah, and that's right. And that's a very good saying, because I'm just gonna make sure it happens. One of my favourite quotes is it's off The Departed, Jack Nicholson.
Okay.
It's at the start, and he says, they don't, in this life, they don't give you anything. You have to go in and take it. That's genuinely how I see it. I'm like, I'm literally gonna go in and steal it if I have to. Do you know what I mean? Balaclava up.
Yeah.
Take the money. That kind of thing. If I have to do it, I will do it. It's up to me. I'm in charge. I'm not having anything else get in the way. It's up to me. I'll make sure it happens, you know? That's how I feel now.
I like it. I like it. I put one on my wall maybe a year or so ago, but it always resonates. Pressure is a privilege.
That's very good too.
It's good, isn't it?
It is. It is. But it is, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because if you think, oh my God, this is so hard. Oh, why me, etc., etc.
Like, what are you crying about? Yeah, you asked for it. I asked for this.
Yeah.
I asked for this. They told me in year 11, what you want to go to college, you want to do this, you want to do that. I said, no, I'm going to fight in the UFC. What are you talking about, Mr. Thomas? I don't care about your little electrician courses and that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I asked for it. And now what am I going to do? Like, oh no, I've got to wake up and go and train where I'm more or less paid to train. I've got to, oh no, I've got to go and do the sport that I used to do for fun. I've got to go and do the sport in a a sanctioned environment that I've done on the streets growing up since I can remember, fighting. Poor me. No, this is an honor. All of this is an honor. You're right. You're dead right there. Pressure is a privilege. That's a really good one.
Do you know what I would say though? If you'd have taken that course as an electrician, you'd know that you need to change the battery in your smoke alarm, mate.
I know,
that's what's doing the beeping.
I know, but I just, the last few days I've heard it beeping. I'll sort it out. I spend too much time with my Xbox headset on when I'm in here, so I can't really hear it.
As an electrician of something like 20 odd years now.
Yeah, you are an electrician. Well, I'm sorry about the electrician. I didn't mean to take a shot at your trade, all right?
No, there's a reason why I'm doing this, mate, and not a Sparky on the tools. But but that beeping of the smoke alarm makes me want to come pay you a little visit with my stepladder and just change over all the batteries for you.
Yeah,
clean up your smoke detectors to make sure that they're functioning effectively, just in case.
Yeah, just in case. Go wrong. I mean, with my cooking ability, I think that that day might come sooner or later as well. But yeah, I need to change that. I need to change that because I've heard it. I've just got used to it now.
Well, it will start going off like a siren, and you don't want that happening when you're trying to get some valuable sleep. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm sorry about the electrician jab there. I'm very sorry about
that. That's all good. No, we were just talking about how we need to do a little bit of verbal sparring over here. So
I'm very sorry about that. I'm sorry that you're not a plumber, John.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry. Well, don't be. I stayed at college long enough so that I didn't have to just degrade myself to deal in toilets and things like that. I got to the cream of the trades.
In all fairness, I think electrician. My brother will become an electrician. I think that's the best one to become.
There you go. You say all the right things.
Yeah, so I've got to keep you on my side, John.
There you go. Nice one. Mate, this has been an absolute privilege. Thank you very much for carving out the time. I'll obviously be there next week and we can dive into a few more details. I'm looking forward to seeing you over there.
Yeah, mate, thank you. It's an honour of mine as well. It's good to finally properly chat to you, mate. It's felt just like a normal conversation. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll speak to you in a bit.
Cheers, John. Cheers, mate.